what is up, sports fans? We are back here on the Fantasy Sports Corporation for a special episode of the Brotherly Love Podcast. It's rival week here. Philadelphia, Dallas. It's the biggest rivalry in sports, and could not do a rivalry week without bringing in a fellow content creator, Cowboy fan. So it's Cowboys Greg over here versus Philly Steve tonight. We're gonna be breaking all the ins and outs of the Sunday 4 o'clock matchup. A big one for a lot of reasons right now. If Philly's able to get this win right now, regardless of the daunting task they have, it puts them in a really nice situation. You lose a game here, you win a game there, you lose another one here, and then you get through that gauntlet, and you're not so bad off. San Francisco's lost 3 in a row right now. They're sitting pretty as the number one record in the NFL right now. But this matchup has always been fun matchup. It didn't matter who's up, who's low. There's always something about it.
The last 25 seasons, 50 games between each other. They are 25-25.
I seen this graphic. I had to put it up. Just NFL Fox put it up there. Just the recent matchups is just so back and forth, discrepancy numbers. But even more so, I think the more important thing is that we get Dak and Jalen for the first time in what feels like 2 years, right?
Exactly.
I mean, and numbers over the last 2 years between them two has been crazy. I don't know if you've seen it.
Oh yeah.
Where is that? Dak versus Jalen over the last. There it is. There's the stat over it. Forget the wins and losses for the moment, but a lot of people did not see this coming, especially in Philadelphia. A lot of people didn't see Jalen Hurts putting on the numbers that he has put on in the last year and a half.
And I had to tell a lot of Eagles fans to show that kid some patience because he was going to be phenomenal for them.
Well, listen, here's the thing: you go and look at this team, you're getting generational play out of your offensive line from Philadelphia. This is the and that's not even that. There's been some good lines that the Philadelphia Eagles has. Obviously, Dallas had some great ones with Eric Williams and them boys that they had down there when they were winning them. So it's like, what you're getting is having guys like that in front of a guy like Jalen, being able to draft a guy like Devontae Smith, the former Heisman Trophy winner, who has somewhat of a
bring in you guys.
The AJ Brown thing is going to kill the league for some time.
Thank AJ for getting you Devontae Smith. By the way, remember that it was because the Cowboys
appreciate that gift too. By the way, appreciate that.
Yeah, well, yeah, but it kept the Giants away from having him. Right. So that was the reason why that deal was made. And when people talk about the NFL draft and they don't think that teams aren't looking to screw other teams at the draft, they're out of their minds. Because Philadelphia and Dallas Philadelphia and Dallas, I mean, we hate each other supposedly and all this jazz, but what happened? What happened? Micah Parsons becomes a Cowboy.
There is obviously. We're always going to hate each other in senses of things. It's just the way it's going to be.
Yeah, bottom line, right? But despite the hate between the two organizations, I mean, there's not a.
I think Michael Parsons trying to bridge that gap, man. He's been trying to say, listen, we effing hate you, but man, you got some effing dogs over there, man. Well, a lot of people, they've been giving Micah some heat down there over the last few weeks over this stuff.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I give Micah Parsons heat for some of the stuff he says. When he said what he said after the San Francisco game, I was just like, Micah, shut up. You got your asses kicked That's the bottom line of it. That's all you should have said, and you should go back to work. That's it. You know.
But we're gonna go back into some of this other stuff. We're let's go down position by position. And let's have a little fun. Dak Prescott versus Jalen Hurts, and if Eagles fans don't want to talk about it, the interceptions, all they want. Number 4 for the Dallas Cowboys has been an absolute Eagles murderer. He has plucked our feathers clean on more than several occasions.
Yep.
He gets up for this game. It doesn't matter if it's here, there, whatever. Like it's one of these games where it's I really think it's on Four's back if you guys win or lose this game. As far as the matchup goes, I mean, I still think you do have a banged up Jalen Hurts, so he's not as mobile.
Right.
So like you do have to take that in consideration. I still think the threat of Jalen running is still a thing. He's not going to bust off for 20, 30 yards at this point in time, but he will be doing enough stuff to keep positive yards moving, keep plays extended, move the chains, things of that nature. And I think, the numbers prove it. He's a better deep ball thrower, and especially with the core guys that he has right now. So I'm going to say at Jalen, just on how he's playing right now to the season. Yeah, he's thrown some bad interceptions and made some bad decisions, but I think we also, what matters is how you bounce back from that interception. And you look at Jalen's numbers after he's thrown those picks, he almost immediately goes right back down there and puts another 7 back up on the board. Those are one of those things, and a lot of people like to throw this shade at Dak too, that he crumbles in these primetime games. I don't really think that's a real thing. I just think Jalen has a slight edge of where they are at in their careers right now over Dak, the way they're playing currently right now.
But yep, bottom line, I agree with you, and I've said it before to many Eagles fans that I know. Jalen Hurts last year was the best quarterback in the NFL. Bottom line, he was the best quarterback in the NFL, and that means he was better. He was playing better than Patrick Mahomes at times. Because Patrick Mahomes is at that other level, right? Well, Jalen Hurts, what he did last year when he was able to run that football as well,
I think what makes Patrick so special, he's the ultimate improviser.
Yep.
Like that's what his quote the Madden thing, his X factor. Like he's the ultimate improviser. When the play breaks down, he has the best quarterback IQ, knows where his guys is, finds either to get rid of the ball, get positive yards, or find the mismatch in the open man in the breakdown.
Yeah,
that's where he's so special, and Jalen has that too. But I just think having Opeta in there the last few weeks, not really being able to do that, and also being a little bit limited. You've seen a few sacks happen. Lane's been banged up a little bit. I still think Kelsey's starting to show his age, even though he's having fun out there and they're not really giving up sacks. People are underestimating the left side of that line that we have here. I know Mr. Mulata doesn't quite get the credit, but
that guy is a monster. He's an absolute monster.
He is a monster, but everyone wants to talk about what was it with the guy from San Francisco, Trent Williams.
Yeah,
everyone wants to talk about him as left tackle. Man, it's like, hey, it's going to take him a few more years, but I think he's going to start getting those All-Pro recommendations over the next few years. Y'all still have a good line down there too. I still think, we're talking about like A. And then like B, we're talking about Dallas, San Francisco, or some of those other teams that are having second, third lines, and as we're talking about overall in the NFL.
Yeah, and there's my main man,
Mr. Martin. Mr. Martin. We
You
don't even
know,
call him. We don't call that. We just call him Mr. Martin because
exactly right. And
he,
against the
dude, he's
Eagles,
the best. He's the best right guard in the NFL. Point blank
against
compared.
the
He's
Eagles,
had
he
that
is.
title for 5+ years, if not longer.
Yeah, and there's not one sack against him against the Eagles. Not one. Like that's scary. Like he gave up a
Yeah.
sack. He gave up a sack
See, but
last
here's
week
the
to
thing. All right,
Aaron
you can
Donald.
you're gonna be able to do that and shut Fletch down, but you still got the other two monsters. They like to rotate on the other side, and I think that's gonna be one of the bigger matchups at that we're going to be looking at that Sunday is the guy on the other side of the center. How's he going to do against Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter? How's he going to do against those kids from Georgia? Because that's where they're going to be putting those kids.
And Tyler Smith has been phenomenal. He hasn't given up a sack, right? He has not given up any sacks. He's given up some pressure, but 0 sacks. And if he gets a little bit of help from Biotish, all the better, right? That's the bottom line. And Tyron Smith, when healthy, is still a monster left tackle to play against. You ask guys who have gone up against Tyron Smith, and they'll tell you it's like hitting that brick wall.
He's got a tough one because Josh Sweat's been playing his butt off quietly.
Yeah.
5+ sacks already again this year.
Yep.
Him and Hassan Reddick have been a nice little duo the last few years. And Hassan Reddick is an absolute murderer in the last 5 minutes of any quarter. He's somebody you have to find a way to not let him do things like that. I think he's got for the last 2 years got like 8 sacks in the last 5 minutes of games. Yeah. He's becoming the absolute closer of pass rushers in the NFL the last few years.
No, exactly. And I mean that's the whole thing about this game is the matchups that we see against
the matchups up front, and we haven't even talked to the positional stuff yet. I think that's what's really going to boil down to this game. Can Lane Johnson, quote unquote, make Micah his little baby again?
No, my answer to that is going to be no, because Micah's not going to stay on that side of the field. Micah has been moved along the line this year, especially coming right up the gut. So, Mr. Kelsey,
you're going to be tested, but I did see they put the practice window for Cam Jurgens, and he should be back for this game. You might not have you might have him back, and that's that line that was had the number one rushing attack in the NFL. If you look since Cam Jurgens went out, the Eagles running game has been ghost. No, it's been non-existent. The last 3 weeks or so. That's a big one. If he's able to get back in there, that's big, and that's where I'm going to go back to the running back, because if he's out, that the running back situation becomes really interesting, because Swift, as well as he done earlier, he hasn't really able to get it done unless he's breaking it down, busting it outside. He hasn't been able to do it over the last few weeks. We already saw what's going on with Kenny Gainwell, freaking answering text messages in the middle of games. I don't know. Listen. That we don't play that here in Philly. It's a rough one right now. I don't know why we still have Rashard Penny as a healthy scratch at every game. I know Kenny is someone you want involved in this game. He's a young kid and things of that nature. But I also think where you guys are at with Pollard and things of that nature. It's basically a coin flip when we're talking about the running back situation.
Yeah, and like I wrote about in my preview article for the Cowboys and the Eagles this week, McCarthy finally woke up and he stopped putting them in the A gap. The A gap runs that they had since Tyler Biotish became the center destroyed Ezekiel Elliott. That destroyed his career because he didn't have Travis Frederick, who was a people mover anymore. Biotish is a good center. He's a solid kid, but he's not Travis Frederick. Travis Frederick was a guy that, Davis and Palmer both would have, Carter, sorry. Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter would both have a long, long day against Travis Frederick. You know, and again, when you start a game off and you run 2 A gaps with Tony Pollard, where's your head, Mike? Where's your head? Tony Pollard has never been a full-time running back. Even in college, he wasn't a full-time running back.
And listen, he's a guy. He's good at like that 15 to 20 touches a game.
Bingo.
Like you get a good pass run mixed with them. Maybe 12 runs and 5 or 6 design passes to them, and that's what you should be doing with these guys. I mean, I get it. Some situations you want to have that bell cow. That term doesn't even really exist in this current NFL anymore.
Unless
everything's done by committee, every guy has a different thing.
Unless your name is Nick Chubb.
For this guy, that guy.
Yeah, unless your name is Nick Chubb. I mean, there's no other bell cow running back out there.
Oh man, Nick Chubb. He's a special kid too.
Phenomenal.
Or was for some time. And speaking of phenomenal, man, we gotta talk about the NFC Player of the Month, man. AJ Brown is on some next level stuff right here.
Yeah.
Even the receiving numbers for this season for a lot of these guys has been like crazy. I know Lammett has been a little upset. He hasn't been as evolved as he wanted to, but he's still in the top 10 there.
Yep. Well, thanks to the last game.
But I mean, AJ's definitely deserves that moniker. What we're giving him now? We said it was Mega John. And since he broke Calvin Johnson's record, I mean, it's weird. Like, you've seen a lot of dominant wide receivers in the NFL anymore. What we've seen him do, like just here in the last 2 seasons, it's been head shaking, right?
Yeah, and this year now though he doesn't have to face Diggs. So, okay. But Deron Bland, that kid from Fresno State, I'll tell you, he has just been so damn phenomenal at jumping routes. 3 pick sixes already this year. He gets one more. He ties the record.
He set your team record for touchdowns in a year, right?
He's got the 3 pick sixes already. One more ties the NFL record. And 2 more, he sets it. And I mean, he's got 9 picks since last year, which leads the league.
Then he should officially trademark Primetime Junior. We should officially trademark Primetime Junior. Because listen, isn't that what Deion used to sit there and say like he was the best at, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So if he sets it, I mean, you got to think of how young we are in the season. We're barely scratching midway, right?
Exactly.
You're gonna play Sam. You're gonna play the Sam House or whatever the Giants are gonna be trotting out there. We got to see them twice.
Apparently next week it's going to be Daniel Jones who comes to Dallas to play them.
Oh, he is going to be back. It's a shame.
Yeah, so Deron Bland could set that record in that game. He could easily do that.
I mean, it's gonna be interesting. I mean, it stinks. You don't have your number one guy in there because it's one of these things like I don't want to have these conversations what we've been having with 49ers fans all year. Like, oh well, you beat us with our 4th string quarterback. I'm like, well, is it our fault? You did once your 1 and 2 went down and you went to Purdy that you didn't go and either cultivate another real option.
Yeah,
because this is how the NFL works, right?
Well, it's just like last year when you guys beat us with Cooper Kupp as our quarterback. I mean, okay, that's what it was. I mean, Dak was
And
up.
then you guys do the same thing at Gardner. That actually the game against Gardner wasn't that bad. We just kind of blew up there at the end. It was a pretty good game for 3/4.
And even the Cooper Rush game was a good game. That was a good football game. But he ended up throwing those picks, and that was that.
So wide receivers, edge Eagles right now, just because you got AJ, you got Devontae, Julio, Quez Watkins, and who's I forget what is it? We call him Oz here.
Yeah.
So and then you still got your guys' options. I mean, Brandon Cooks is still one of the better guys who could play inside, outside, whatever. I already said CeeDee Lamb's. He's definitely one of the top 10 receivers. You can make argument for top 5 at points at times when he's clicking on all cylinders, and Dak is doing his thing too. So I mean,
and that's the interesting matchup though, because the Cowboys play the Eagles wide receivers with much more man than the Eagles play the Cowboys receivers, which is much more Darius Slay, sitting 2 or 3 yards off all the time of everybody. And Bradbury, again, it's going to be an interesting fight, bottom line.
Yeah, because that'll go to the next part, the secondaries, man. You just mentioned, Slay. He's arguably, top 3 cornerback in the NFL. Since he got hit here in Philadelphia, he's kind of proven that with 2 All-Pros in the last few years. Bradbury, played like a top 5 cornerback last year. Super Bowl is obviously what everyone's remembering him for right now. He obviously, hasn't played as well as he did last year, this year. And you can say that with the whole secondary with losing Avonte Maddox, losing CJ Gardner-Johnson, losing your other safety, losing Blankenship for a few games there, who was one of your rookies from last season who played above and beyond. Me and my missus have been calling him Rocket Ship because he just seems like he's involved in every play, man. Yeah. And you still had developing Sidney Jones. We just traded for the kid from the Titans. So we're kind of filling holes right there, but I still think the overall edge might go to your Cowboys just because of how the Eagles are playing in the secondary this year. They're not playing as a top 5 secondary unit like they were last year. They're a top 15, I guess.
Yeah.
If you would ask my honest opinion, if I'm just saying how I feel looking at them, I think number wise they're within the top 10, but that's just me. I feel like that they're way off, and Dallas might be playing a little bit better. You can give me a better perspective on that. I still think you guys got the edge right now in the secondary play.
Well, out of the corners, yes, and in the passing game, the safeties can be had, and that's where Dallas Goedert is going to come into play.
Yeah, we're gonna get into the tight ends now, flip flopping back and forth between offense and defense. I'm loving this right now because quietly, even though Jerry said he wasn't trying to make moves, I heard rumors he was trying to pry a former Eagle out of Arizona.
Apparently. But again, JJ and Steven, whatever comes out of their mouth, don't believe it. Don't believe them, no matter no matter what they say.
Listen. I'm gonna say this right now. Let's keep it real. If you could take Jerry Jones out of the picture right now, how fast do you think your franchise would win the Super Bowl?
If Jerry stuck to just being the owner, and Steven stuck to being the kid's owner.
Just say, for God forbid that this is not what I'm wishing. He has a stroke. He's mentally incapacitated. Someone else is taking control of the team. He's not meddling in this, that, and the third. And the Cowboys start going in a different direction. How fast do you think that franchise could win a Super Bowl?
Next year. Bottom line.
I'm not I said this. I've been sitting there saying it for the last 10 years. Can we sign him to a lifetime contract? Because he's actually done worse he dismantled your original dynasty. People tend to forget that.
Oh yeah,
if he doesn't start the fight with Jerry Jones, your team doesn't fall apart. Period. You probably win more than you probably win more than 4.
He would have had more than we would have won more than 3 in the 90s had Jimmy Johnson been able to stay. Bottom line, I don't care what anybody says about Barry Switzer and his 95 win. A chimpanzee could have coached that Cowboys team to that Super Bowl. Jimmy had built it up to that level. They shouldn't have even lost. They shouldn't have even lost in 94 to the Niners when they did.
I mean, the triplets are good. Like that, everyone forgets how good that offensive line was with
Stepnoski and Gogan and those guys.
And then you go back on defense, like Russell Maryland and all that. Like, Jesus. And then, like you at that point in time, you guys had taken Charles Haley away from San Francisco. So, like, I mean. That defense was just nuts at point in time, and then when you added
Dion,
you had Alvin Harper back there, and then you added Dion and things like you guys were just so making the right moves at the right times, and then all of a sudden everything just comes.
And everybody always talks about Jerry loves to talk about the Herschel Walker deal. The Herschel Walker deal was Jerry and the owner of the Vikings talking. And then Jimmy Johnson did the deal. Jimmy Johnson was the guy that gave us all those picks. It wasn't JJ. That's
he loves taking credit for things that he don't do. But hey, like, wouldn't you if you were the owner, man? Like, hey, I made that thing happen, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So tight ends. Obviously, Dallas Goedert gets the edge over your guy down there, who both signed some big contracts over the last few years.
Well, Ferguson is still on his rookie deal. Jake Ferguson is still on his rookie deal, as is Hendershot and the other kid that we took from that school up north, as I refer to it. Because, yes, I'm a Notre Dame fan. Can you tell? So this past draft was killer for me because, I mean, we take Mozzie Smith in the first round and Schoonmaker in the second round from that school up north. And it's just like, oh, no. What in the hell are you boys thinking?
So I take it us getting Jalen Carter, and then you looking at your defensive end pick. You weren't happy with that, right?
I would much have rather seen them take Keanu Benton, who plays for the Steelers from Wisconsin, as the DT over Mozzie Smith. But it is what it is.
It's one of those things, like, you still want to go for position. I think at that point in time, if you don't take Mozzie, you go with whoever's the best available on the board or at that point in time. Because obviously your pick's gone, right?
Well, yeah, it was for me. I was stunned when Detroit took Jahmyr Gibbs that quickly in the draft, right? Because that was the kid I was saying, okay, you guys want to talk about Bijan Robinson? This Jahmyr Gibbs kid is going to be just as good in the NFL as Bijan Robinson is, and that would have been a deadly duo between Gibbs and Pollard. That would have been a deadly duo. But
so now we're going to go with linebackers, and as much as I got love for how Morrow is playing, he's playing out of his mind for a guy you pulled off the streets, right right at the start of the season. Zach Cunningham, is making plays for you, but he's still a liability in some areas. N'Kobe Dean, great at getting in the backfield, disrupting the run. I still don't think he's figured out the being able to be a pass stopping linebacker, but always been jealous of you guys. Stealing Landon Vander Esch. He was a guy I always liked in college. There, I think when you look at the overall linebacker core, and technically you have to put Micah Parsons into the linebacker core, even though he's basically playing DN at this point in time, because of the way your guys' alignment is. But I think you guys have the better linebacking core.
When you add in the other kid who we caught as the undrafted free agent last year, Marquise Bell from Florida A&M, Jaron Kearse coming up and playing linebacker as well, etc. Damone Clark out of LSU has been pretty solid, but we do miss Leighton Vander Esch right now. We miss him.
Man. You can't replace that guy. You can't.
No. And he's
the guy that he plays freaking, from 50 to 90 miles an hour on every play. He's the heart of your defense. But as much as you have a guy like Micah, like Leighton's your heart. And when you lose a guy like that, that's like, you can't duplicate that or replace that. And now I think overall your defense is still, without having a Leighton Vander Esch, top 5 still, regardless. I still think your defense overall is playing better than what Philadelphia has, even though, I like our front rotation better than your front. I still think when we look at it overall, I think the defense is better, but we're going to get into the X factor right here. And that's kickers. And I don't care what anyone says. Ain't no one been better than number 4 over the past 3 years of being consistent and also being clutch at kicking the hell out of the ball at 50 yards or longer, and that's Jake Elliott. You can make your argument for your boy or not, but
Brandon Aubrey, another Notre Dame kid. He didn't even play football. He was a soccer player at Notre Dame, and guess what? He has the NFL record for most consecutive field goals made by a rookie ever. So, hey, Jake Elliott, I remember Jake. He's real good, but he missed a field goal against.
He did. He did. I was utterly stunned. I was that.
I was shocked.
That kid with his eyes popping out of his head and his mouth wide open, like, that was me when the Jets game.
The Jets game. Yeah, exactly. And it was like, what?
It was also from the distance. That's why I was. He has this weird thing, man. It's like, I think that anything from like 38 and under, he could possibly miss, but anything from 40 or over, he's almost like automatic anymore. It's disgusting.
Yeah. Except he still trails the kid from Atlanta who has the best percentage now, and Justin Tucker.
Yeah, I mean, Justin Tucker's been the king for the last 10 years almost, it feels.
Except for this Young Hoop Q now down in Atlanta.
Yeah, we'll see how the kid in Atlanta continues to play.
Yeah,
but I'll say, I mean, we could say push on the kickers, but I'm still gonna push for my man.
Well, you gotta go with Elliott because of his experience over my kid who's just a rookie, right? I mean, bottom line. And the fact that Aubrey doesn't have any experience kicking up there in the Northeast, except in the swamp. Lincoln Field's wind can be a little nasty.
See, it depends on what end it is, because they have the one end that has 2 openings on it.
That's right.
And that causes the swirl on the one end. On the other end of the stadium, it's completely sealed off.
Yep.
So it makes it real interesting for the coin flip. So that's why every time, sometimes on the coin flip that you see at home, where we wind up getting the ball first because we don't get to defer because we wind up choosing, because you'll have Elliott be like, listen, I want to kick this way so I can kick this way back in the fourth quarter in case there's a big kick we need to make.
Yep.
and it's a big thing. So we'll see how that does play out. But now you get into the real X factor. Nick Sirianni versus Mike McCarthy. Nick Sirianni has arguably been the best coach in the NFC over the past 2 years. His road numbers are ridiculous, and he's been a really creative guy. He's not the guy that Philadelphia fans thought we wanted, thought we needed, but he's won over a lot of people here. And Mike McCarthy almost seems like he's been wearing out his welcome everywhere he goes with maniacal, stupid, ridiculous play calling decisions, things of that nature. It just every time it feels like Mike has a team that he could take to win a Super Bowl. After winning one, he hasn't been able to do it.
No. And well, when he got his one with Green Bay,
as I said, he got the first one but then after Aaron's last one, and then how everything played out since then, it just feels like he's been making all the wrong choices.
Yeah, and this is where Brian Schottenheimer has come into play, though, because Schottenheimer is the designer of the offense. Mike McCarthy is the play calling guy. That's it. McCarthy, I think, finally understood he has to let Dak Prescott play like Dak Prescott did when he was at Mississippi State. He ran the ball very well against the Chargers, scored that touchdown. He ran the ball 4 times, just 19 yards against the Rams, but it got them out of trouble. When Dak Prescott has been in trouble is when he sits in that damn pocket and pumps once or twice, and if he pumps more than twice and then throws that ball, it's a pick. It's a pick. Let the man play quarterback. Hello.
Yeah, I think regardless of who's been the offensive coordinator here, I think the biggest thing is just a good balance. I think the line play is probably going to be some of the bigger issues we'll see this week, but home 4:00 in Philadelphia. Let's hear your predictions for this game. The first matchup that we'll have within the next month or so. How you feeling?
I wrote it today. I've got the Cowboys taking this one 31-24. Bottom line, if the Cowboys defense plays the way that they're capable of and slows down A.J. Brown, the Eagles will lose this game. Bottom line. Because the defensive line of the Cowboys isn't just Micah. You've got one of the best edge guys in the business in DeMarcus Lawrence. He's taught Sam Williams on the other side of the ball to also set an edge. Oh my God, it was amazing. And this is, look, when we lost to the Cardinals, I was in utter shock of that. Did you see that game?
I did see a good portion of that game. I mean,
Dobbs got
loose. Once I starting to see the discrepancy, I'm like, yeah. Oh man.
But Josh Dobbs got loose of Micah Parsons right off the get-go because Micah wanted a sack. No, Micah. Quarterback pressures mean a lot more than sacks do, and containing a quarterback is important, Micah. When the Cowboys wake up to the fact that you don't need to sack a quarterback like they did against the Rams on Sunday, they had 17 quarterback pressures, which they lead the league in quarterback pressures. By far. When they pressure a quarterback, quarterbacks make mistakes. You don't have to just sack a guy to be the hero. If the Cowboys do get that pressure on Jalen Hurts, because like you said, unfortunately, he's got that knee issue. He's not running around. Jalen Hurts is going to be in for.
He is moving the pocket and extending the plays. I don't know how many Eagles games you've been able to catch this year.
No, I've watched pretty much every Eagles game. So,
So like I said, he don't seem right in some areas. I don't think his decision making has been as well as it was last year, but his arm is there, his mind is there, his mind is there. I
oh yeah,
think it is going to be a close game, like you say that you know uh 34-31, 28-31, something like that. I think the winner of I think whoever scores 30 first is probably going to win this game. I'll say it like that.
yeah,
That'll be the determining factor. Who hits 31st? And I think if we see, I think we'll see another another gunfight.
oh yeah,
I think coming out, we'll see both offenses be able to put 7 on, and then we'll see the defenses come out either with stoppages or holding in the field goals, and then we'll see the in game adjustments. In my opinion, we say we're going to be expecting Jalen to do this or AJ. Like, listen, we all know our the stars and the big playmakers are gonna make plays. They're gonna be there, but I think ultimately it's gonna come down to which coaches make the proper adjustment. Put their guy in the right situation. If you're caught in a bad defense or a bad play of offense, if you're able to get out of it and get the right those plays are going to be what determines who wins this game Sunday afternoon. It's here in Philadelphia.
yeah.
I think we're going to do the normal split where we're gonna win in our homes, and I look forward to seeing how both of these matches play off. I may be wrong, and maybe the other way around. You might want to beating us here. We might want to beating you there. These are always matchups I always see as being a split just because of how close we are. I was surprised that we wanted to beating the Commanders twice just because that they've been finding ways to play us really tough over the last handful of years, despite how being terrible they've been.
And if Ron Rivera had any balls, he would have beaten you by going for the 2-pointer. Why did you not? That was so mind-boggling.
I still think that the Blankenship turnover was big in the second game, but the first game, yeah, that call at the end, I don't know, man.
You're in
Especially because just Hal was
Philadelphia.
just he killed us this year, and we were able to still get 2 wins over him. Like I said, we're in a nice spot after. It's kind of where I thought we would be when we got to this game, where I wanted to be. I was hoping you'd be undefeated going in this game. Before you get into the craziness of going down there to Kansas City. Having to play San Francisco, having to play Buffalo, then play you guys again.
Yeah.
And then people don't even mention we still got to go beat Seattle, who's playing really well. Geno Smith, and that I guess what they're calling it, the Legion of Boom Part 2 back out there. Seattle's a lot of people are just not really giving them the respect they deserve. I think that's a game that I think we absolutely could lose.
Yeah.
So it's going to be really interesting to see. Like, I think you extend that into this rough stretch that we have. And I think it's funny that everyone was sitting there saying the Eagles got the easiest schedule in the NFL. I don't know what you guys are talking about, man.
Well, exactly, right? Like I saw guys going, they're going to go 15-2 this year. I said no. I said both teams are going to.
I actually thought we were the same record. I'm like, no, I think we'll be closer to like 11-5 or something like that.
Well, I said it before the season started. The Cowboys and the Eagles will both end up at 12-5. They will both end up being 12-5. And I
round up seeing it.
It's just because of the schedule. Because after we get through you guys, our schedule is easy. So if we win this one, we're going to be in first place because we got the Giants, we got the Commanders, other weak teams, and then we have to go to Buffalo in December, and then we have to go to Miami on Christmas Eve. But after that, it's a piece of cake for the Cowboys again, and that's that.
Yeah, well, we're gonna see how it is. I mean, these schedules are gonna be interesting. We get lucky with two Giants game in December too, so we'll see, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm more interested to see how January plays out than the season. I already kind of feel like I see how everything's gonna go.
Yeah.
I think the only really surprise is how much better the trade is this year compared to they were last year.
Yeah, but everybody forgets how good of a second half of the season the Lions played last year, and then they added to that defense. I mean, that draft was just such a shock because he's drafting an off the ball linebacker and a running back in round one, but boy, both of them fit. They were absolute perfect fits for what the Lions do. And you add that offensive line. If you want to talk about your offensive line being good, that offensive line in Detroit is damn good too. I mean, they're loaded.
Listen, we played them last year in the opening game, and it was a freaking shootout for 60 minutes.
Yep. And that's the thing about the NFL. Any given Sunday, Monday night, Thursday night, whatever the case may be, anybody can lose. You guys lost to the Jets. And we lost to the Cardinals. I mean, come on. What the hell?
Like the Jets are a lot better team than a lot of people give them credit for. It's just you have Zach Wilson there, and man, if Aaron Rodgers doesn't get hurt, and you're just seeing how that team is playing, man.
If Aaron hadn't survived that week one, week two, he would have been in the same problem that Zach Wilson found himself in against the Cowboys. Because that was that.
Well, I'm not saying that they would have won the Dallas game. I'm just saying I think that one people be looking at them as a lot better team, and their record probably be a win or two better.
Yep. Yeah. But again, it all would have come down to Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs being relied upon too damn much. Use your damn running backs in the playoffs, boys. It can't be the quarterback's arm.
Playoff football is one in the trenches, running back play, and having a balanced offense. No team's going to win in the playoffs with your quarterback throwing the ball 40 times a game. It doesn't happen.
Unless your name is Patrick Mahomes, because he's the only quarterback who has ever led the league in passing to win a Super Bowl, and that was just last year. He's the only one who's ever done that, kids. The only
but he also did it when he was throwing like it didn't matter who they were trotting out there. He was just finding ways to move the chains, and I mean, everyone's talking about like, oh, look what him and Travis Kelce. I'm like, yeah, but he also just like. It doesn't matter if it's the third string running back, if it's the fifth string wide receiver, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And I was so close last year. We did articles about. I did an article on Team MBS Media about the Super Bowl MVP, right? Who it was going to be, Mahomes versus Hurts and all this other jazz. But I put in a couple of surprise picks as guys who should be considered to win that MVP in the Super Bowl. And Nick Bolton was my Chiefs pick. Had he gotten that interception after getting the fumble recovery touchdown, had he had that interception off Jalen, that would have done it. He would have won the Super Bowl MVP last year.
And speaking of the other year on the MVP, do you think if AJ Brown keeps on this trajectory and keeps on this course of, let's say if he makes it to, 10 plus games of 125 and do you think he makes the case for being the first wide receiver to get the MVP award?
In most years, yeah, but he's got this other guy that is down in Miami who
Yeah, he might hit 2K, but I don't know, man. Like he finds a way to get hurt and misses a handful of games every year. He
Yeah,
does.
yeah.
And that's and like he and if memory serves me, we had this conversation about Tyreek Hill for 4 straight years, and for 4 straight years he found way to miss games at the end and
Yep,
fall short.
yep. And that's why that's why wide receiver winning this award has never happened. Jerry Rice in 1995 had the best wide receiver season I ever saw anybody ever
I
have.
remember
Bottom
when
line,
him and Steve Young were freaking magic that year.
they were. So how was Jerry Rice not even mentioned for MVP? He wasn't even mentioned.
I think it's a sin. We've had so many special wide receiver seasons over the years, and not a single one has won.
Yep.
You got to be kidding me. There, I mean, you're just talking about Jerry. Like there was years, like yeah, again, the guy that AJ just record he just beat.
Calvin
Megatron
Johnson.
had some phenomenal years down there in Detroit.
But Detroit themselves as a team sucked. So
Yeah, but like you look at it overall, like there probably should have been a year that he should have won it down there. There should have been a year that Jared won it. There definitely should have been a year where Randy Moss won one.
Yep.
Like I mean, there's been so many great wide receiver play that we've seen just over the last 40 years or so.
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
I'm not even going back for it. I mean, we can go pick at numbers all day. Said like Lance Allworth should have won one, or
Yep.
Steve Largent should have won one.
Oh,
Like
exactly.
we
Right?
can,
But everybody always focuses on the guy that throws the
yeah. It's
football.
always the guy throwing the ball though.
But those thrown footballs aren't all perfect passes, kids. These wide receivers get paid to.
The catch AJ Brown made last week was just absolutely his two touchdown grabs last week were just. I
Yeah.
mean, no, I don't think there's anyone in the NFL that's doing 50-50 balls and doing it the way that he's doing it. Like some of the one-handed grabs that he's doing is just ridiculous. The one he did against the Rams, that he was coming across a slant, he just one hands and he runs it for another 15-20 yards. I'm just like,
Yep.
he's playing on another level. I just think when we're talking about MVPs, he's having one of those years if he can keep the pace, keep healthy. These are all these things we're saying if. So if we're ending the season today, there's some critical event and we're ending the season today, and you're giving a vote, who you're voting for the league MVP right now?
My vote right now, I would actually go with AJ Brown. Because
I don't think there's anyone that you could talk about. I mean, you could talk about Tyreek Hill, but you see the head-to-head matchup when they went against each other. He had the critical drop that I think turned the momentum in that game. And he's not the guy that wants the ball on every.
But again, what does the sports media always focus in on though? It's Tua Tagovailoa. It's Jalen Hurts. It's this quarterback and that quarterback and this quarterback. And the college game has now been turned into the same thing too. It's only about the one position. And people who follow
we talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
Go look at what the salary cap number is for the quarterback when you franchise tag them. It's what 44 something $1 million. All right, so the second most valued position on offense is what? The left tackle then, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the franchise tag number for the left tackle is $15 million. Okay, so the second most important player on the field is worth a quarter what the most valuable person on the field is.
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
No, it doesn't, because those five guys in front of a quarterback have to be a cohesive unit. I mean, you guys have been lucky.
We've been blessed. We've been blessed the last 5 years. I'm telling you.
Despite the Jurgens injury,
and I actually want to go over this one thing that came across this. It is going to be into a further one. This delusional Cowboys fans. You see these posts all the time. Dak retires right now. He's a Hall of Famer. Well, no, he's not a Hall of Famer if he retires right now. But let's talk about Hall of Famers, right? If we look on Dallas, we look on Philadelphia, we look right at the offensive lines on both teams.
Yep.
And sit there. Jason Kelsey, first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yep.
Lane Johnson, first ballot Hall of Famer.
Ballot Hall of Famer.
Zach Martin.
Zach
Martin is your man right behind you.
He's
Zach
going
Martin,
in. He's going
first
in
ballot Hall of Famer.
First ballot. There's no questions asked, right? Had Tyron Smith
he's on the edge, man. He really is.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm going to say because of his injury history, right?
Yeah, that's the only reason why I say he's on the edge.
Yeah.
But to sit there and say that bringing in a Jason Peters 2 years ago when he went down, to say that he isn't the one of the more valuable guys that you have on that line, that I think by default of how many All Pros he has, he probably should be considered maybe not first ballot Hall of Famer, but Hall of Fame material.
Peters has got to be a Hall of Famer.
So it's like one of those things. Like, so you have guarantees there. So let's look at projections, right?
Yeah.
You could arguably sit there and say, I think not now, but I think Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox have chances to be, if not on the initial shot, senior, like on the senior side of things.
I think Fletcher gets in, probably not on his first year.
No, I think he's probably like year 5, 6, right? Something like that.
And then Brandon
Graham will probably be he'll probably be like on the kind of senior committee.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he was a part of the ending one of the biggest dynasties of our era.
Yep. Bottom line, and the Cowboys defensively. I mean, obviously, Micah is headed to Canton at this pace, but DeMarcus Lawrence should.
He's there. He's going to be there. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, but he won't get in on the first ballot because he doesn't have the sacks. Right?
I agree.
That's the problem that you have there. Again, because everybody says if you don't sack the quarterback, you're not doing your job. Really? Oh.
Darius Slay, not a first ballot, but he kind of the maybe within a 10-year span. I think he's probably going to be. He probably need another 10 interceptions over the next handful of years to say that he's wholeheartedly solidified it.
Yeah,
but I think he has the right amount of numbers, All Pros, things of that nature, where he's trending, if he keeps it up over the next handful of years, in that direction to be a Hall of Famer.
Yep.
But I think the most important thing, if we happen to win a Super Bowl in the next handful of years, it probably guarantees it for some of these guys we're sitting there saying that could be. Jalen Hurts, man, I'm not going to say he could be at this point in time, but if he continues to be a dual threat and wins multiple championships, he could be.
Yeah.
Dak Prescott, if he gets over 40,000 yards passing and happens to win a Super Bowl with the Dallas Cowboys before he retires, how can you not say he gets in?
But again, he quarterbacks America's team as that man from Philadelphia. As the man from Philadelphia said in 1978. If you take
the 3 Super Bowls away from Troy Aikman, tell me he's in the Hall of Fame.
He's not. He's
not. His numbers aren't there.
No.
He has more than a handful of really terrible years. Not only before the run, but in between Super Bowls and then when he really fell off the shelf.
Yeah. And again, Dak Prescott and Aaron Rodgers are the only 2 quarterbacks in less than 100 games to have 25,000 yards passing and 1,500 yards rushing. They're the only 2 quarterbacks. So Aaron Rodgers has already guaranteed himself a place, apparently, in Canton. But
I thought he did. Dude, taking over that franchise after Brett Favre won, getting a Super Bowl, and then doing the numbers that he did.
Yep. But again, his numbers were costly to the Packers when everybody talks about it really mattering, because The last 4 Super Bowl games that Green Bay lost with Brett Favre, all at Lambeau, not one time did they run the ball more than 20 times in a game. Not once. You're at Lambeau Field in January, and you're going to let your quarterback decide your turn. Come on, wake up.
I was happy to see my Eagles beat them on my birthday last year. That's all I gotta
say. You're a January baby, are you?
Yeah, no, that was November 27th.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're a fellow Sagittarian.
Yeah,
I'm December the 5th.
There you go. So all right, we're gonna get ready to put a wrap on this one. You know, to talk to little Hall of Famers, talk to little Eagles Dallas rivalry, which again, it is the only rivalry in sports worth talking about in this current day and age. You know,
which has changed, and it changed at Veterans Stadium the day that Michael was injured, and the Eagles fans were cheering.
I think that play really literally did change the trajectory of what this rivalry was.
Yep. Because an old guy like me.
People tend to forget of one, no one who was actually there knew he was actually really that badly hurt.
No.
They know Mike liked to play possum with things, and like that there was a back and forth between Mike and the Philadelphia fans and media.
Yeah, exactly.
So like when it was going on, it was like, yeah, you're cheering because like it was a big crack against them, man.
Oh yeah.
So it's like one of these things where like, you know, but after a few minutes went by, it was like, wait a minute, this is a serious situation.
Yeah.
So like the fans may be feeling a different temperature, but when you see the guys on the field had a completely different mannerism than you normally did it, everyone kind of really settled down.
Exactly.
Yeah, they initially, of course, there was literally that is like your arch nemesis.
Yeah.
The initial knee jerk reaction, especially for you know a lot of the guys who are in that stadium that are like 25 and under, like that's just of course that was going to be the reaction. Yeah. Then but to the people that still talk about that, or anyone who still mentions like throwing Santa, snowballs at Santa Claus, like really need to go.
That was 1968, kids. That was 1968.
But they also want to remember why that happened either.
No.
They don't ever remember why that happened. So it's like we're talking about things that are completely out of context when we're talking about terrible fan bases. You see these things, right? They literally the one that should always be at the top of it is the New York Yankees. That point blank and period.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is the absolute one. But you guys get thrown in there because you do have this an abnormally large pocket of fans that have absolutely no reason to be attached to your fan base, but it's unfortunate they still are.
Exactly right. Like it's like that. It's like that one guy that I've blocked on Twitter. That's an Eagles fan who has his own podcast too, apparently, and all he ever talks about is the Dallas Cowboys. He never says anything about the Eagles. And he's this Eagles fan, right?
Well, you always get a troll here and there. Like,
yeah, exactly, right?
You get this one guy, like you just see, like it doesn't matter which team they support, but anyone else in the division, that's all they post about is everyone in that division going on. You never post about your actual team. It's just you're talking trash on the whole rest of the division.
Yeah. And and remember, before Howie got lucky, not just with Devontae Smith, but recently lucky in the draft as well. Howie
had some big misses for a long time.
He was on the hot seat.
After the Super Bowl, he made the Jalen Reagor thing almost killed him.
Yep.
The Jalen Reagor thing almost killed him. The fact that you sign Carson Wentz to that big contract, and then 2 years later you draft a Jalen Hurts when you clearly still needed help in the line and getting some playmakers in there.
Yep.
And you whiffed on Rager, then the next year you gotta blow another one on Devontae. And then technically, again, the following year, you blow another one to get AJ, but it's not blowing one because it literally blows up in Tennessee's face, and then literally we just go grab Julio and their safety. I'm like, at this point in time, if you're Tennessee and if you see Howie's phone ring, how do you not just hit block at this point?
Exactly, you would think so. But Cawthorn was he's a rookie GM now for Tennessee, right? So he still accepted a phone call, and I was like, how did that number not already be blocked?
I gotta ask you this one. How do you guys not go and give them a third round pick to go get Derrick Henry to complement Tony Pollard and really make that offense dangerous?
No, it wasn't going to happen because the Titans only had Tyjae Spears as their other running back. I kept telling everybody this. The Titans are not going to give up Derrick Henry for nothing. They are desperate, and they were desperately short of running backs as well because their other two running backs were both on IR. And I kept telling everybody that Derrick Henry's off the table. The guy that the Cowboys should have gone after is Perrine, the former Bengal who's with the Broncos now. Perrine's a big boy. I mean, he had 6 touchdowns last year for the Bengals.
I know what you mean.
You know, and that's where I don't. This is where I really get PO'd with Jerry, is the fact that it's his guys. Jerry,
that's why I said, man, if you guys remove him from the decision making process, you're going to win a championship fairly quickly because that defense is going to be a top 10 defense over the next 10 years.
And that includes if we don't do it this year. If we don't win, I
think over the next 5 we trade Super Bowls.
If we don't go to the NFC Championship game this year, DeMarcus Lawrence has to be traded. Bottom line, DeMarcus has to go. It's just
the problem is getting a player and a high pick back for him.
Well, teams will give up. I mean, we see them give up not players, but the draft picks for a solid DE like that. You're gonna get a good number. And the Cowboys only have 5 picks right now this year in the draft. And that's a low number for the Cowboys.
I still think San Francisco traded for the wrong Washington Commander.
But that's because the Bears jumped them.
I still think they made. Listen, I mean, it's cool. You can sell the story that him and Bosa reunited and things of that nature, but go look at the numbers. How many sacks that Montez Sweat has compared to, and not just that, the hurries, the forced fumbles, the things of that nature. Yeah. The numbers that really matter. I mean, I still think San Francisco. Did they get? Yeah, they got better, and you still have Armstead to kind of rotate in there, and they have a nice rotation. But I mean, I still don't think that they're any better. I still think Brock Purdy is significantly overrated. I think he's more than above average game manager, things of that nature. But I do think he's still a year or two away from really kind of understanding this game the way you want him to.
But what happened to the 49ers is Cleveland punched them in the mouth, Minnesota punched them in the mouth, and they were trailing those games. And it's the same. It's the same thing.
I think the other thing is if they play teams that can sustain drives and put up points against them, they have problems. They need things where their offense is seeing the ball multiple times because their defense is getting them off the field. Is when Brock Purdy and then make mistakes. When they wind up getting it where they wind up pinning you back and getting a nice return where they only got to go like 58 yards or 60 some yards to go put points on the board.
Well, you talked about
really does does play well. But when, like you said, you get points up on them, and they have to play where it's just have to do it on Brock Purdy's arm, that they're not always going to perform. I'm not sitting there saying that we're in a special situation here with having guys that are considered elite quarterbacks in Dak and Jalen where we're at, but I think San Francisco isn't quite there in the quarterback situation, and also being banged up and things of that nature. I think they're going to put themselves where they're going to have to go on the road to win this year. I still think that the number one seed is going to come down to whoever wins our division.
It's Dallas or Philadelphia. That's the way I look at it. Unless Detroit gets red hot.
Yeah, I mean, I think they are a team to watch,
And so is Seattle. See, Seattle's ahead of San Francisco now, right? And there's another team that drafted masterfully. I mean, when they got those picks from those Broncos, they went to town with those picks.
I think they're another one too. They're really being underestimated. It's going to be interesting to see how the rest of the middle and middle half and the end of the season plays out. But through the first half, I think the Philadelphia Eagles have been the class of the league, just finding different ways to win every week. Yep. We'll see if they will still be considered the class of the league once we go through 18 weeks of football here.
Exactly right. And then in 2 more years, it's going to be 19 weeks. Actually, it'll be a 20 week because everybody's going to get 2 buys when they add that next game.
If they do that, this game is going to be unrecognizable, dude.
Well, I mean, I'm used to
I think you really should have started extending these rosters to 60-man rosters too.
Well, yeah, that's the whole bottom line is why do you have this 53, but you're only dressing 46 guys? What's with that? You have to have 53 bodies out in that field. You need those 53 guys.
I think they should extend not only the what you're able to dress and everything like that. I think you should extend the practice squad too. If you're going to be adding games, you need to be adding jobs for more of these guys because there's going to be more guys getting hurt and things of that nature.
Yep, and it's going to be it's going to be insane. Like I'm used to it because I live up here in Canada, so I'm used to the 18 game season, right? They're just nuts. Our playoffs are about to start up here this weekend.
Oh yeah. So what do you think of Mr. Dwayne Johnson and his XFL USFL merger and all that stuff?
I think it's great. I think it's fantastic for the game. As long as guys get the opportunity, especially these guys that come from the HBCU schools, they don't get drafted because the NFL teams.
The more you give these guys opportunities to get chances, to get more eyes to see them, so they can potentially get a chance to get to the NFL. Just think, like, if there weren't for some of these leagues, we wouldn't have found out about Kurt Warner, some of these great guys that going on and be able to win big in the NFL.
Yeah, exactly. And even the CFL, the guys that have gone down to the NFL.
There's another one, who's Garcia was a big CFL guy too, right? Jeff Garcia.
Yeah, Jeff Garcia, Warren Moon.
That was a guy that didn't get the love, man.
Oh man, I cry every time I hear that story of the Cowboys scout who said to Gil Brandt, "You need to draft Warren Moon." And Gil Brandt didn't do it. But I got to see Warren up close, live and personal in Edmonton for those seasons when they were winning 5 Grey Cups in a row. And it was just amazing. How that man was not drafted in the NFL is beyond me. But
that just goes to show you the real bias that was going on in this league that they refused to really recognize for a long, long time.
Yeah.
This notion that black guy can't be quarterback in the NFL
Yep.
I'm so glad that we're these guys now are absolutely smashing these molds. You know, I mean, we're talking about guys like Warren Moon that weren't drafted, guys like Randall Cunningham who were superstars here. You know, and every other guy in between that didn't get the shot. Like the fact that we just said a few weeks ago, Tyrod Taylor was the first black quarterback to win a game for the New York Giants is utterly disgusting to me.
Yep. Yep.
It's 2023, and that's the
Bingo.
first time that's happened.
Yep.
That is mind-boggling.
Well, it was just like the first matchup last year in the Super Bowl between two black quarterbacks, right? That to me was mind-boggling. But at least we're at a point now where most of us who love football and follow football don't give a rat's ass what color the guy's skin is.
All right, one last one before I send us on our ways. Thoughts on the now trademarked brotherly shove. Does it need to stay? Does it need to go? Is it a rugby play or have the Philadelphia Eagles just found an elite way to do things with a guy that flat out is just the strongest quarterback that we've seen in this league in quite some time?
Bottom line, the brotherly shove is a part of football. Whether people agree or not, they think it's rugby. Well, rugby is the originator of football, folks.
Yes, it's where it's parts of where it was derived from, guys.
Exactly. And because you have the talented guys you have on your line and you have Jalen Hurts, okay, it works. It's great. It's fine and dandy. The brotherly shove is here to stay, and it should stay.
Yeah, I mean, I know people. I know the league's going to be looking into it. I think they're gonna change some variations of it. I think the pushing aspect of it will be absolutely removed going into seasons moving forward, just because we're seeing that rule on the defensive side of things that you're not allowed to move the player forward. I'll see more of that, but I still think that they'll still do it way above a 75% clip, just because the simple fact that Jalen Hurts is probably the first quarterback that we've ever seen that could squat over 600 pounds.
Yeah.
But I also see that percentage going down once guys like Jason Kelce retire, and Lane Johnson, some of these other guys wind up leaving. That efficiency number might drop down, because Jason Kelce is absolutely a once in a generational center.
I look back at it and I go, why in the hell didn't the Cowboys do this back in the 90s with the beef that they had up front? Oh my God.
Oh my God, man.
Oh Lord.
Well, that was because Troy Aikman couldn't take a hit, for anything.
But you had Moose Johnson back there, and
yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, you got to think, y'all were pretty good at 1 yard plays at that time.
Oh yeah.
Remember, I remember, Mr. John Madden talking about there, getting in them short yard situations, just put old Moose Johnson in there, and then you'd hear the famous boomer whap, and then there goes 22, right?
Yeah, I mean, and it was, but you guys have also had your players who have done the same things, except back in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s and all that jazz, you guys never could get the job done. And
it had some good teams, man. I mean, really the McNabb era, even pre-TO should have won at least one Super Bowl, because that defense was beyond ridiculous.
Exactly.
And I think probably the year they should have did it was the year Donovan broke his ankle.
Yeah.
That was probably the year they probably should have did it. the year Dick Vermeil won his first Super Bowl there with the Rams, that they had a chance to didn't perform in the NFC Championship game. Then you had the 3 in a row that you lose.
Yeah.
Probably should have won the Super Bowl, but we're not going to point any fingers. We already know the reason why we lost the first Patriots game. But then you look at some of the other ones, like, there was other teams that should have did it. We were talking about injuries. The 91 Eagles probably should have did it. Just you lose Randall 3-4 weeks into the season.
But then you still would have had to face that 91 Redskins defense, which is one of the most underrated defenses in the history of the league. Everybody talks about
the Bears and Hogs, man. That offensive line with Russ Grimm and them boys were freaking destroying guys at that time.
Yeah, but that defense was very damn
good. It was.
I'll put that over any of the Ravens defenses, and I'll put it over the 85 Bears defense.
I mean, they wound up winning it the next year, but yeah, I mean that Giants team was a good team that year, but I just think the way that defense played, if Randall was able to play a full season that year, that would have been another year. Then obviously everything falls apart after that. Yeah. Randall's never the same guy. Jerome dies. Free agency instituted 2 years later. Reggie leaves, and then everyone literally jumps ship. Clyde and Seth will go to Arizona with Andre Waters. I mean, it was insanity. It was just watching that team fall apart. And then, like you said, there was teams in the 70s as well that probably should have won a few.
Oh yeah, but again, it's the NFC East. And you got the Dallas Cowboys and the Washington Redskins at that point, because the Giants were nothing back then.
Giants were nothing until Bill Parcells finally took a hold of the organization and put them in the right direction. That dude has built multiple franchises, and people don't even realize it.
No, they don't. But again, he can't.
Like, people don't even realize Bill Parcells blueprinted the Patriots dynasty. No one ever wants to talk about that.
No, exactly, right. But Parcells couldn't do what he wanted to do with the Dallas Cowboys because
but we already know why. We already talked about that.
Because
AJ has to get in the way of everything.
Bingo. And he wanted to institute the 3-4, which has never been played by the Cowboys, and it was not a fit. He should have stayed with a 4-3. And things would have been much better for you, Bill, but he didn't do it.
The couldas, the shouldas, the wouldas.
Yeah.
We will probably be hearing a lot of that from either side of the fan base come Monday morning. But other than that, Greg, it was a blast talking with you. We'll see what happens Sunday afternoon. What I typically do here at the end, anything you want to say, anyone you want to give a shout out to where you write at, podcast, social media sites. The floor is yours, my brother.
All right. Well, I have my Twitter handle out there at Greg Cowboys. I write at teamnbsmedia.com. I also have a tribute that I wrote last night to Bobby Knight up at teamnbsmedia.com. Yes, the silver hair does mean I'm an old guy, but us old guys tend to know a little bit about sports.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
All right, Greg. It was a blast, brother. We'll catch up again soon in a few weeks to see how things play out, my friend.
You got it.
All right, everyone. We will catch you guys next week.